I love a good story. I love how stories can inspire. I love how they can teach. And it amazes me how so many stories are glorified and some of the greatest stories go unheard. I heard an amazing story recently about Jimmy Carter, and it touched my heart so much. Back in 1978, there were two warring factions, and they'd been fighting a very long time. It was like 30 years or something, and thousands of people had died. So Jimmy Carter took both of them and brought them to Camp David and said, okay, we're going to negotiate peace. We're not going to leave here until we find peace. And it went on for 13 days, and they weren't getting anywhere because both of the people he was talking to were so stuck. They were so entrenched in being right that they were not willing to maneuver, to adjust the conversation towards peace. So after 13 days of just the battling, Jimmy Carter gave up. He said, okay, this is not working. It's just not going to work. So at the beginning of these negotiations, when they first arrived, one of the leaders had asked for some photos to take home to his grandchildren. And so he went out of his way, and instead of just having a photograph with his face on it that said Jimmy Carter, he went and found the name of each of the person's grandchildren. And he personalized each photograph with the person's name, the grandchildren's name, and a blessing. You know, blessings to you, wishing you well, things like that. And when he handed it to this man, and the man looked and saw that they'd been personalized, and he started reading the names as he was looking at them. And after a few names, the man started to cry, just tear up. And then Jimmy Carter started to tear up. And he looked at President Carter and said, okay, let's try again. I love that story. And I've been really thinking deeply about what is it? What was it that switched that man's brain from just that stronghold inside of him to opening up to something different? Was it that he had mentioned his grandchildren and maybe remembering that all of this is going to be passed to his grandchildren one day? Maybe that was it. But I think there's a deeper truth to that story. President Carter demonstrated a virtue of kindness. He didn't have to do that. But he did it because he was a really good person. He is a good person. He's still doing good in the world. But also I think that acknowledging that, you know, his grandchildren as not only exist, but he wishes them well. Wishing well. Caring for someone's well-being. I think that just that one thing, to authentically care about the well-being of others, could change the world. And it's all about, in some way, an agreement. I don't think the world is going to change because we make new laws or things like that, or, you know, focusing on what's right and wrong and that kind of dialogue. I think language really matters. The energy behind our language really matters. When humanity decides to all come to an agreement about what humanity means, What's the value of life? What's the value of all life? Should we all be able to live a dignified life with food, water, a home? When humans make that declaration, that agreement in a unified way, it would shift the world. It will shift the world.